Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. And the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it's another week. I hope you guys had a good Black Friday and all of that. Oh, we should start the music here. There we go. Let's go over and take a look at the markets and see what's going on. Well, first thing I'm noticing is that the treasuries do appear to be on the down foot, but for some reason my market order imbalance indicator thinks that we are mostly buy. So that does not work. I screwed something up there with my latest changes, I think. Morning, Octavius, Ray, A. Paul. Charts. So here we got the 10-year treasury. Well, we are mostly up from the past 3 days, but we are on the down foot this morning. That could just be a little bit of mean revision. I don't know if we've got anything specific. Well, we do have the beginning of the month, which is usually a buy. So, I don't know. Then we got the S&P 500 here. Looking okay overnight, actually. Oil still in the range. Gold still in the range. Silver, maybe a little bit of catch up. Copper still struggling. Copper. Japanese yen is looking pretty okay. Oh, by the way, you know what? I changed my dollar index. Is what happened here. Changed my dollar index, and that's why it's not on here anymore. That's funny.
Block
Okay.
sell.
Synthetic dollar index. Where'd you go? Synthetic dollar index. Candles. Okay. Ta-da! Okay. So, the dollar up at 106.3, just up a little bit from the other day, but nothing too big. And then Bitcoin, still kind of struggling with that 100K. It looks like there's, dare I say it, some supply there. But, you know, who knows? You got to be weary about supply and demand, because if people want to buy it, they're just gonna blow right through that. Once they do blow right through it, it probably extends a little bit. That's usually what tends to happen, at least. So, yeah, I'm seeing some icebergs in the treasuries now. A little bit of going ons here. I think we're gonna pull this up over here, and now let's pull up a new window. Actually, we'll just go into Helix and try and load the market order imbalance. ZN December 2nd.
Block buy.
Wait, where'd it go? Oh, that's 5 seconds. Okay. Right, that one right there. Says it's 51. Says that it's 66666 in buys and 6202 in sells. How is that possible? I don't think that's right. Has it really been mostly market buys through this whole down move? But when I come over here and I look at the cumulative delta over the last 10 bars, so let's see here, it's 735, so let's just go to 25. We are definitely down in cumulative delta, so there's absolutely no way that it could be net buy. So my next thought here is let's copy this spreadsheet and mess around with it a little bit. What the hell? Actually, no, we won't open it up over here. We'll just open it up in Excel. Sure. Okay. So this should equal the sum of all of these. Let's test that. That equals sum of 10 rows. Okay. So maybe I have an issue that makes it pop up differently with live versus replay. This is what it must be. Also, why is it not? Oh, that's not right. Wait, what? What? Man, they're selling this hard, aren't they? Well, I'm sitting here like, that doesn't make no sense. They're selling it hard. Okay, so what is it there that, did I just like copy it at the wrong time or something? Because like there is a column missing in this temp. Deleted. Let's try it again. What? It's impossible. Oh, okay, well that was not That one was cumulative delta. Copied the wrong one that time. I think that I'm just not on today here, because that... Okay, that's better. Those numbers still don't make much sense, though. Okay, that looks more like what it's supposed to look like. So there's a column here that says whether that data point was recorded live or not. I think I see what's going on. I made a pretty major set of changes to the market data imbalance last night to deal with a couple of other little... You know, it's kind of funny. I'll, like, find something about it that, like, probably nobody else would ever notice that bothers me. And so I change things to account and adjust for that. And it ends up being, like, almost a complete rewrite. So... that's what's got to be going on there. It must not be taking the bit out. This must be like the market order imbalance. Oh, so for that, how did it get that? How did it start out with that? Is kind of funny too. That should be 0. Well, actually, it shouldn't be 0, but it looks like this is like the cumulative delta for the whole session. What it looks like to me. So the part that resets, that takes the thing out is... oh, I know why. I know. Oh, Seth, you're so stupid. Oh. Actually, I think in this case it's that I'm too smart. Overthought it. Aha. So what we're going to have to do is come in here and delete today's data. There. Wait, how is it doing that, though? It must not have saved my workspace changes. Load cache data, save cache data. And where's the one? Save, take, replay. That is set. Plug level info. Huh. It's really annoying when there's like things that you thought worked and they don't work anymore. But the problem, what I'm seeing so far is actually the chart was messed up because it had like old settings. That the workspace wasn't updated correctly. Oh man, how much of this was I not talking? Okay, so X asks on the yields dom, is it more likely that a large bid and asks are levels that are going to get filled or rejected? No. So there's a large bid here. That's just market making, man. They have a large bid there that's just kind of a little bit out in case like something really moves, something like that, then maybe those would get filled. But generally speaking, the liquidity is all up here in the 10-year. And everything else is kind of looking at that and moving based on that. So if there's a large bid or an offer in the 10-year, well, that's potentially interesting, but I wouldn't overemphasize its importance. There is a large bid at 24.5. That's kind of curious. You don't really see that anywhere else. Does that mean that we're more likely to move down from here? Not necessarily, but it does appear that there's probably at least one big guy out there that maybe is looking to take profits there, right? So resting orders, like that's the thing that I think is so funny. Okay, resting orders can be useful, but I would say it's probably at the bottom of the pyramid in terms of things that I'm looking at in order flow. Belligerent says, I haven't watched the video yet, but that thumbnail is like a dagger to my heart. So you know what's so funny, dude, is so I've been working with a video editor. I want to continue working with them at least for the next month or two to get some of the videos that I have planned out. And the thing that I find really interesting and entertaining
is I'll take a video, you know, I make the whole script and I do the video the way that I've always done them and everything, and then I give it to them and see what they do with it, right? And some of the things that they do with it, I think, are just absolutely hilarious. It's just it's probably not as funny to you guys, but it's just funny to me that it's like, oh, that is totally not what I was thinking. That is totally not what I was anticipating that they would put in there for the B-roll and all of these sorts of things. But as long as it's not leading to some sort of major misconception that's key to the points that I'm trying to make in the video, I just, whatever you do, we're going to do, and we'll see how it turns out, right? And so the thumbnail, I think, is a case like that. So I told them, like, you're probably responding to the text, and that was all me. I was like, I want the video to be prop firms are for suckers. And but like, the picture of me that he chose and all of that sort, it was no. I expected it all, right? So it's got the one of me going like this, you know, and I would have picked, you know, tried to find one of me with my mouth open, it, you know. So but the whole purpose of that video is well, okay, look, I think most of you guys that are here every day understand how I feel about prop firms, right? But the video was like, hey, Seth's opinion on it, unfiltered, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. I expected to trigger a lot of comments, but I think I need to make a follow-up on it. Like, not necessarily a follow-up on prop firms specifically, but like, okay, I want to make a video. I was thinking about this, or it was an idea that came to me this morning. Where should my stop be? That's an interesting question, because like, you should absolutely have a stop. You don't want to have a trade open and then have one of these monster huge moves that just completely blows your account, or whatever the deal is. However much you have in there, maybe it's just like a loser that's 10 times your average winner. Like, you don't want to have those in there, okay? But every back test that I've ever done basically says, if you don't put a stop in there, you make more money. So what is that really telling us? Is that really telling us we shouldn't have a stop? I don't think that's the case, because again, you could have a catastrophic loss, okay? But what it does kind of suggest is that the more volatility that you expose yourself to, the higher your potential upside is, right? So from the perspective of a day trader, how big should your stop be? You would want to have your stop be as large as is reasonable. Like, you want your stop to be in a place that under normal circumstances won't get touched. That's what the data suggests is best. That means that you want a larger percentage of the day's range. So a lot of people will come in and they will say, okay, like, what is the volatility of the average swing in the S&P 500 or the average 30 minutes? And I'm saying, actually, I think that you want to base it on what is the average true range of the day. And you want to be targeting a certain amount of the day's true range. And the larger you can make that stop and target, generally speaking, the more money that you will make. So I want to make a video like that, because that's kind of the thing that the prop firms do that kind of kills you, is that they have that maximum daily loss, and the numbers don't scale with the size of the account. If you go and you buy a larger account, the drawdown to target ratio is worse. So it doesn't scale. So it basically it puts you in there, and it gives you a daily loss limit that in the course of normal market conditions is very likely to get hit. So it prevents you
from being able to do that sort of thing, from being able to take on enough volatility that you can have a more consistent long-term expectancy. Does that make sense? So I was trying to say that in the video. I don't know if people will understand that that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying like you want to be taking a larger percentage of the day's volatility, and the prop firm prevents you from doing that. But like more broadly, I would say like look at the prop firm rules and what are the sorts of things that the prop firm rules filter out, and then go and look at making profitable strategies off of those, because like that's what bothers me about it, is that it's like, you know, like probably the most like the best kind of strategy that I think that you can trade with futures, the one that all of the fund managers are really making money from, are momentum strategies. And that means you have to hold it overnight. Prop firms don't allow that. Like that right away. They're keeping you out of the best strategies, basically. And that's the point of that video. But you'll see it. I think it's going to be controversial. So I'm glad that the thumbnail triggers people. Okay, so this is still kind of showing me some things that don't make sense and is making me think that it did not actually delete. Okay, so some of the problems that I saw before were probably me selecting the wrong file and things like that. But there is an issue. I just gotta make sure here on these. I changed this. So this one, the market order imbalance in particular, to make it with both on bar close and on each tick, is like a complete pain and mess. So it's like, no, it really should be on each tick. We'll do it on each tick. The inventory cost basis one, that one I think works both ways. I'm not entirely sure, but that one should be on bar close, because you don't want to do that calculation every time there's a tick. That would kill your computer. But there's this bit where I take out the previous bar's bit out at the you know, when we start a new bar on the new bar, and it looks like that's not always getting called. Yeah, Uzi says he runs it on each tick. But that one, the version that you have doesn't cache. So I'm going to have to test the caching bit for it running on each tick. But yeah, I would not recommend running it on each tick. like you should come into the, where is it? You Ninja Script output window, and then right click on it and go to Ninja Script utilization monitor, right? And then you get this thing where it tells you like how much time that they're each using and everything. And I bet you on yours that the inventory cost basis is at the top. For mine, it's resting orders. Resting orders is at, especially resting orders V2. Or resting orders filtered, I thought would be. Oh, that's actually interesting. Oh, I see. It's because this one I'm only looking at the inside 10 levels. That's why that one's not doing as much. Otherwise, that would probably be up at the top. Cumulative delta? My cumulative delta? My cumulative delta is up there. That one's curious, actually. It's not too high, though. Oh, Ninja Trader 8. Yeah. Okay, well, that doesn't surprise me. Wait, does Ninja Trader 8's draw it as candles? Oh, send me run it for like 5 minutes and then send me a screenshot of it. I'm curious now. That's interesting how much more the top level resting orders one takes, because it's not like it's changing that much. But I guess if I'm not experiencing slowdowns, I shouldn't worry about it. But that's something I didn't anticipate that I should probably consider. If it's running on each ticket, so that's interesting that there's that many level 2 changes that get filtered out, though. The cumulative delta I could see being high because it's doing the drawing, and I bet that Ninja Trader's drawing code doesn't do things the most optimal way. Like, they're probably recreating the rectangle object every frame and all of these sorts. They're not reusing the objects like my code does. That's why, again, like, I have the optimized candlesticks. Or is that? It's going to be, like, way down there, isn't it? Oh, come on. Where is it? Well, there's their candlestick. Wait, do I not have? Oh, I don't. Oh, this is another case of, like, it's not... Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm gonna have to look at that, too. Well, not look at that. It's, there was a day where when we made the optimized candlestick, I was like, okay, now we're going to put it on all of our charts, right? And then probably what happened is, like, later that day, I was programming and, like, crashed Ninja Trader with my programming. And so it didn't save that workspace is probably what happened. Okay, anyways, I'm getting distracted. Right here. Oh. Oh, I don't like that at all. First bar. Why you deleted like 2 messages? Is it true that some traders who have been in the trading space of quite some time achieve 7 figures days? No. So, like a 7-figure day is like, no. Like, so maybe some stock traders who are trading options might find 7 figure days, but like a retail trader achieving a 7-figure day scalping futures, nah. Maybe a 7-figure year. So Anthony Crudelli talks about when he started and when the electronic trading really took off, and he was like the guy that that was the most dominant with the electronic trading. And so he had 1 year where he pulled $1 million from that. He pulled 7 figures. But then, like, shortly after that, the robots came in and sliced him to pieces, and he lost a large portion of that. Right. So that's, and that was like, he was doing so well that, like, the exchange knows about him. And, like, that's kind of how Anthony Crudelli came to the point that he is as an influencer, let's call him. I wouldn't necessarily call him an influencer per se, but as an educator in the trading space, that's kind of how he got to that point, was that the exchange knew who he was, right? And he was pulling 7 figures in a year. So to pull 7 figures in a day, not from scalping. Maybe if you were position trading or you were managing a large portfolio, but man, you would have to already have a really big portfolio to be achieving 7 figures. Because, you know, like once you get into the millions of dollars, like doubling your account in a day is really hard. Okay, so now in options that can happen, right? In options, there can be these situations where, like, you invest 20,000 into something and it turns into multi-millions, and people post those on Wall Street Bets all the time. So thinking about what to do about my little oversight here in my latest changes. I really shouldn't develop them live to you. You guys can be like, oh my gosh, this is terribly done. But believe me, I before I give them to you guys, they've gone through the ringer. So I'm really confident that they work correctly once I'm like put them on the website. Maybe not when I give them to Uzi and he's beta testing them, but but you can see one of the things that's interesting about this whole setup is that it outputs all of the values to a spreadsheet. So I can open the spreadsheet up and verify the figures by hand, right? So that's how we know what's going on and like where the problem is. Uzi just smiles. I don't know why I was thinking about this. So I don't want to release any videos like when. Yeah, you've been bad about it. Yeah, that's fine. I give them to you, you put them up, and that's really all that's required. So like 3 weeks, and then it's the week of Christmas, and then the week after that is like New Year's, so that's not the best time. So like I can put out a video on the 9th, the 16th, and then on the 6th of January. So we could possibly get 2 videos out this month, but it would have to be on the 9th and on the 16th. And I don't think, well, we'll see. One of the videos I think is going to be the one about developing intuition. And then I think one of the videos will be, like, you know, the one that I really want to do is trading without price. But I think that I want to do one that's like, one that is what I want to do, and one that is like, I think will be popular. And what I think would be popular would be, how much money do you need to day trade, or how big should your stop be? So it'll be one of those two. I would avoid everyone and everything in my life during the holidays if I could. You know what, man? It seems like everybody's like that, though. Is there this thing that, like, if you haven't been around a lot of people and haven't been part of a community for a long time, that you then want to it drives you to avoid people? Because, like, I'm getting this thing everywhere where it's like nobody wants to really be involved in community stuff anymore. So, like, I went skiing this weekend. Once I did go skiing. It was, oh my gosh. I think that the way that the rental place set my bindings up on my snowboard was probably not best for me. It seems like that they really set it up for, like, more of a park setup. And I found myself, it was, like, way too wide for me, first of all. And then, like, my feet are, like, too far forward. So, like, I'm trying to turn, and I have to really strain to get the board to turn. And so, like, I had to, like, rest 3 or 4 times going down the hill because it was like I was so out of breath, which is not the way that it should be. I remember just casually going down the mountain and going, like, dozens of times during a day. So, but, I expected to talk to a lot of people, talk to people in line, talk to people on the gondola and things like that. And not really. I mean, people talked, but, like, I don't know. It was a bunch of kids, were the chatty ones. And then, like, the other thing was, like, carpooling. So, like, I drove up there, but, it would be better to carpool, because if you have a carpool with 3 or more people in it, then you get a better parking space. And I was really shocked. I just drove up there by myself and parked in the worst parking, but I was really shocked at how many people were there in the not as good parking, which means that there were either one or 2 people in that car. And it's like, there's no interest in Facebook groups or anything like that for people carpooling and stuff. It's just like, people aren't interested in doing stuff with people. Just scrambling for Chinesium on Amazon on Cyber Monday. Okay, so I think that the word Chinesium is, like, hilarious, but I'm starting to feel like it's overused. Like, they would use it on everything and now, because, like, everything is Chinesium, isn't it? I wonder about when you're on TikTok, okay, and they're like, have you seen the new viral dress? Okay, I wouldn't be caught out in public in the new viral dress. One, because I don't wear dresses. But if I was a girl, I wouldn't be caught out in public in the new viral dress, because if it's actually viral, then everybody will recognize it, and they'll all know that I bought it off of TikTok for $16. No. Wear the TikTok stuff out in public if you want everybody to think you're poor. But then everything's Chinese, so yeah. It actually super bothers me that, like, this is the first thing that he hears when he comes in. We're talking about that. Good morning, Matthew. No, like, it super bothers me that you can go over to, like, H&M and buy shirts for, like, or not, let's not say shirts, just like general clothes for, like, under $20, and, like, you wear them, like, 3 times and then throw them away. God, no way. What happened? I hope that, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens with tariffs and all that sort of stuff, but I would like to see a flight to quality, too much trash out there. And it's particularly grating with the all of this emphasis on saving the planet and all this sort of stuff, right? Things that are quality have no fear of time. Yeah, I mean, like you get a really good wool shirt and that can last you a long time. You know, the sorts of clothes that you can pass down to kids and stuff. Not as much a thing anymore. Okay, so what was my problem again? It only does it if it was not loaded from cache. That can't be right, though. I'm still a little weirded out by okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try one more thing on this. I'm going to force it to use the GUID. And now it's correct. Yeah. Yes. How low did it get? Wow, this spot right here was like excessive selling, by the way. It was in a market that wasn't very active. But okay, that is correct. So it was that, like, I see. So I think that the logic may actually be correct, and it's just that I have some data on here that's bad. I have some data saved in the older market order imbalances from like the 29th. So here's like the 29th. Can see it's like not that one. That's got to be bad because it should never get that high. So let's see here. Where's the one with the GUID in? Oh, is the GUID at the front? Yeah. What is the GUID? This one. A86. Yeah, it's right there. See, that's more like what it's supposed to be. Should close it for the bar. That's wrong. Still wrong, huh? So let's go back to the 27th then. This is the first of it. Okay. So this should equal the sum of these two. 766, that's correct. And when we get to bar 11, sum of equals sum of those 10. 958, that's correct. Equals sum of these 704. See, it did not take it out. The antithesis of planned obsolescence would be a design philosophy or approach that focuses on creating products that are built to last, repairable, and sustainable over the long term instead of intentionally designing products that fail or become outdated to drive repeat purchases. This approach prioritizes durability, upgradability, and environmental responsibility. Yeah. But that doesn't make as much money. That doesn't make corporations as much money. And people don't seem to value the quality, or like in some instances, you know, they don't care about the quality of the object as long as they can use the object, and if replacing the object is less than buying the nice one to begin with. Like, let's say that the nice one lasts 10 years. How many times would I have to replace the cheap one in that 10 years? And if all of those combined together is not less, if all of those combined together is less than the expensive one, then you still buy the cheap one and replace it, right? Like clothes. Like if I buy a shirt and it's $10 and I have to spend $100 for a nice one. I tell you, the other weird thing, the other thing that's kind of causing a problem is there are a lot of things out there that they are charging a lot of money for, and they're really not worth that. and you're really just paying for the marketing. Like almost anything that you buy off of Instagram, like you go and you buy workout clothes off of Instagram, it's synthetic fibers. They're all synthetic fibers, guys, and they're charging like ridiculous amounts for it. It's like, there's got to be something about the cloth that actually makes it worthwhile to be spending that much. With workout clothes, there's not too many options. But you know, like if I used to be, if I bought like my Lululemon shorts, those have lasted me like 12 years or something like that. I don't wear them much anymore because they have a hole in them, but like they didn't fall apart. Right? I'm told that if you buy the Lululemons today, that the stitching falls apart too quickly. Yeah. See, this one right here, I bet you it's supposed to be 704, but I bet you that it is actually all this. Yep, $11.99. So the part that takes this bar out was not called, essentially. Now it has the current buys and sells, so you've been returning things a lot. You know what? I bought a hood thing for like a neck gaiter head covering to go skiing with, and it was on a piece of cardboard, so I couldn't really try it out in the store. And when I brought it home, and put it on, I realized that it was like the youth size. So like it fits on me, but it's like it's way too tight. And their return policy won't take it back because it, you know, doesn't have the tags or anything on it anymore. So I couldn't return it. A little mad about that one. Felt stupid. So I know the piece of code that's not being called to make this bug happen. But the question is, why is that piece of code not being generated? Bought a $20 Costco Jerry Jam. Okay, let me think here for a second. Shouldn't have closed it. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this in a new window so that I can mess with this without having to refresh that other chart and screw up the other data that I'm gathering. Not that I care too much about December, but... Period is 30. Oh. Wait a second. Oh man, it doesn't like me because I have the file up. Deal with it. Deal with it. So if it's 30, aha. Okay. I mean, that seems correct. But then... I'll save my changes. No. Let's see here. I had like a ZZ one over here, right? Sum of... Oh. Okay, so it is correct. It is correct. So then the real question I should be asking myself here is a 30-minute period too long? You have it on a 10-minute, don't you, Uzi? You remind me, is it you use a 10 or maybe you have both? You have a 10 and a 30. So the reason that I think I was having problems before was that I had data that was generated that was, you know, from earlier before I made some changes, and that data was basically bad. So once I switched it over to generating completely new data, it seems fine. We have to run this for 30 minutes. Once we have more than 30 minutes of bars that were recorded live, then we can verify that it works both on the tick replay and on the live correctly, and that it handles the difference between them fine. But so far, it actually looks like that I was... all of this that I've been looking at the past hour was me just not looking at the right file accidentally, or not realizing, you know, that the data there was bad. But the code was all good. So that was all just ADHD Seth chasing his own tail. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, so like being able to see what the imbalance of orders was over a 10-minute period is maybe sometimes a little bit too... you need more than 10 minutes, but 30 minutes has too much lag in it. Like, you're not seeing that they're really selling it strong until it's like practically already through. So I'm wondering if I should use some of the tricks from what's this bucket? 10 is better. Uzi says 10 is better. I'm wondering though if I should be using some Euler tricks. Like I should be using the MESA. So he has this MESA thing that basically like it accounts for the bar lag like that. So if you account for the lag, then does it work? Then what does it look like? So that's something that I might add on top of it. But I think that would be for later. I think that would be for like a next release sort of. For now, though, I think that I tested that pretty thoroughly after that. Well, like I said, we need to wait 10 minutes. Or we need to wait 30 minutes. But then I would like to get it out. Is this a Spotify playlist? Yes, it is. It's the Stream Beats 100 Thieves playlist. It's funny to me when people ask me about the playlist because I thought that like all streams used this playlist. S&P 500 is looking pretty good at the moment, isn't it? Okay, so I'm gonna close that for now. I'm kind of thinking, I thought that this was 10 minutes, so I don't know why I put a 30-minute one on there. Anyways. So I'm just realizing, okay, if you had an imbalance that got to like the 40 level over a 30-minute time period, that would be like super significant. But by that point, like you've already had, you'd have to have already had trend for 30 minutes. It's too long. Really, we developed this market order imbalance to run on a seconds chart. Saw some promising things with it when I was running it on seconds chart. Yeah, anything with a period setting is going to run into the same problem. Yeah, for sure. I am kind of surprised by it though. I'm kind of sitting here. I'm also sitting here going like, why am I surprised by that? But like I said, the Mesa thing that can kind of help in that situation. Or Ellers. Left brain concepts for traders in their right minds. Okay, this makes sense. But you know what? It's kind of funny because what his indicators do is basically they try and account for the lag and quantization effects that you get with traditional indicators to try and eliminate that noise. And in some instances they work pretty well. But it's kind of like you're still doing it on price, and on an intraday time period, it doesn't really help. I think that some of the secret here is like run these on a daily chart and run your traditional momentum strategy with Eller's indicators and see how that would work. Maybe I should read some of his books because I haven't read the books. I've just done the software. But he has a roofing filter. So a roofing filter is really good for something that's like you have an indicator like RSI, and RSI stays up here, and then by the time it comes back down, like it's already too late. And the roofing filter kind of deals with this problem and realize, it will come down sooner. It'll give you an earlier signal. And the Mesa one is kind of more for this sort of a thing, where his is, I don't know how he does it, but you get something more like that. So I'm thinking that if I pass the market data imbalance into a Mesa, so do I have that? Oh. So I remember that the one was called a roofing filter. Let's see that. Do I have an Ehlers or Oilers, or I don't know how you spell his name, how you say his name, but it doesn't look like I do. And it's not included in lizards, is it? Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, roofing filter. But not MESA. Which means I might have to include it in my own indicators, which kind of irritates me, but I don't like including stuff that like are out there and other stuff. But if I want it all in one package, I might, I have to include that sometimes. So, I'm wondering if it was on my old PC. Let's check the old PC. Does your market order imbalance indicator usually have the same slope as the cumulative delta? So, kind of. Because market order imbalance is a first derivative of cumulative delta, but it is a rolling window. It is a rolling window, so there's that caveat. If you had a cumulative delta that was like, yeah, anyways, a rolling window, then you'd get that same thing. But so it's kind of a first derivative, but it's kind of not. Well, there's two parts to it, because one is but basically what I'm doing is I'm taking so cumulative delta I remember. I don't remember all of the math behind this. There's this math between like what's the relationship between this and the derivative, but basically cumulative delta is all buys minus all sells, right? My indicator is basically all buys over all buys plus sells on a rolling window. You know, from I, J, or whatever. Or to represent it mathematically, it'd be this. It's a rolling window. I swear I had an MESA, an indicator at some point, but I'm not finding it in here. Oh, there it is. MESA stochastics. Oh, there it is. I looked right over it. Try that. Okay. No news on the voice. Oh, you know what? I didn't hear. There was the PMIs, wasn't there? Well, we have stuff at the top of the hour. The ISM manufacturing PMI is a pretty big number. So I have to read up a little bit on the different settings of the MESA, because that's not what I was expecting to see. That's not very useful, right? You can't just sell that, buy that, sell that. The cycle is too close. And I don't remember what these K and D and everything mean. I'll keep that chart up though, so then I have to reset that. Actually, no, I'm going to close it because I don't want them to... Oh, no, it'll save it as a completely... Now, this one won't. Just... Yeah, so the S&P manufacturing PMI final was 97.7 versus an expected 49. 49.7 versus expected 49. So slightly better. Oh, sorry, slightly better than expected, but still in contraction. Barely in contraction, and not a ton of movement off of it. But that ISM number will probably be more significant because it's a more up-to-date number. The S&P number has some detail in it that we don't get, but the ISM number is more leading. Man. Okay, so there was this thing on Reddit the other day where like this guy was saying, "Oh, watch, they're going to push same-sex marriage back to the States too." No. It's really funny, but it's funny to me at least. But in 2022, was it? 2022, Congress passed a law codifying the Obergefell decision that legalized same-sex marriage in the United States. So there is a federal law about it now. It's crazy to me. Like, Congress didn't do hardly anything During all of Joe Biden's term, there was like the one thing that they did do was pass a law codifying same-sex marriage, and nobody knows about it. Like, okay. So now these people on Reddit are arguing with me about how, the Supreme Court is so extreme that they'll overturn that. No, it wouldn't work that way. When you have a law, it's a different situation. And in that case, I believe that all the state would need to do to show the law is constitutional is to demonstrate a compelling state interest. So I don't even think that would even get out of the lower courts. What are you talking about, D? What do you think, Seth, further down of backup in 4 minutes? In what, the treasuries? I think that we're gonna wait. Yeah, I think that in the new PMI, well, it's the manufacturing side, so I'm not entirely sure, but manufacturing hasn't been doing very well in the United States. So their estimates, US ISM manufacturing PMI 47.6 versus a previous reading of 46.5. And I think that since that time, that overall employment has certainly kind of taken a turn south. So I think that it might be slightly lower than the expectation. It might be slightly lower than the expectation, which would probably be a buy in the treasury. So if I had to take a trade, I don't know, I've been pretty good at these ones, but I feel a little bit unsure about this one. But if I had to make a call, I think it would be long holding into the news. But that is definitely not in line with the trend, and it seems to me that there's something else going on today that's been pushing the selling. So maybe that we might be one of those situations where the PMI doesn't matter, right? Like the PMI comes out, it's lower than expected, we get a good jump, and then after that they continue to sell. That I think is very, very likely. Kind of feel like that overall level 2 activity is pretty healthy going into this news, though, huh? But a buy limited 22. Why? Oh, okay. I'm unsure about this one. They're pulling though, for sure. Ouch. Okay, so it's higher than expected at 48. 48.4 versus an expected 47.6. I wouldn't say that that's like a huge deal, but it is higher than expected by about 0.8. Oh, that's very interesting that they gapped down on the news and then recovered it. Lots of level 2 activity on it, of course. I'm seeing an increase in the offers too, which is really, really interesting. I'm not quite sure what to make of all of that. I think my larger issue here today still is that we're seeing, or we saw some pretty strong selling earlier on in the session, which doesn't really line up with the things that I look at. Like, the beginning of the month tends to be a buy. I see some economic weakness. I don't know. It's I think that I'm off kilter with the market here lately. It's just not. I just don't see a reason to be seeing a sell flow coming through today, the way that we've seen today. My best guess for the sell flow is the Trump trade is still pushing hard. But that trade has kind of been at least in the treasuries, has kind of been struggling the past week, right? So I don't know. Could just be a little bit of mean reversion. Liquidity's still a little bit light on the bids though. So there might be a good chance of them retracing some of this area. Let's see what they do. The dollar's looking really strong here this morning. By the way, I didn't mention this, but Uzi, because of you irritated me enough on Friday that I found a way. So now when you add the synthetic dollar index, it will just work regardless of what the expiration is on the main data series. And I had to program all of the rules for the rollover in the FX futures into the indicator. Was it? No, it wasn't Friday. It was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. Yes, you're right. You weren't here on Friday because we talked about it, and I wanted to show you when you weren't here. That's right. No, on Wednesday when you were like, "Oh, how come it doesn't work on this chart?" Well, it uses the main chart's expiration. And when you were like, "That's not so," I added it. I fixed it. It was. It wasn't that bad. It was like maybe 40 minutes, but it was a lot of code actually to program that. Like, because you have to find like the third Wednesday and 2 days before that, and then to find the third Wednesday first, you have to find what day of the week the first day of the month was, and then go 3 weeks out from that, and then find the difference between that and the day that you're looking at, which is a Wednesday, and then then I find the third Wednesday and they have to do two business. So if there is ever a situation where there is a holiday just before the third Wednesday of the month, then my code won't work. But otherwise... So I was like, I think I can do it. I think I have the time. Let's just put it in there. Oh, by the way, do we have enough data in here now? Let's go back and check, huh? Let's go back and check. So the yen it doesn't seem like it's just the yen. The yen is down a little bit off of that news. Not as much as the Japanese yen, but overall the dollar looks really strong this morning. So I think that the selling in the treasuries probably is like the Trump trade. Yeah. Well, this might not count. Yeah. So I think in this case, because I like refreshed the chart here and stuff, that let's go. So if we started at 748, then more at like 820-ish, we should try running it again. Granted, it shouldn't lose beta when I do that, but it will. And it doesn't handle half of a bar being tick replay and half of it being like. I'm tempted to change something, but I have one of them in there is logging stuff out too. That it doesn't need to anymore. When you get the new set of indicators, don't set the log to debug. It'll output all sorts of weird stuff to you that you won't understand. What's this on r/day trading? I just realized that 800% returns a month are not sustainable. You think? Good grief. Okay, so you know what else really bothers me about Reddit lately while I'm on the subject? You know, of course we've been jumping around, but it's still on my mind, okay? Is how brazen and open Reddit feels about posting things like I'm not going to invite certain family members over for Thanksgiving because of their political opinions. Like, what the actual F? It's absolutely crazy. But I'm telling you, man, the Democrat Party, like their biggest constituency is actually people that disagree with the culture that they were raised with. So basically, if your parents said don't have premarital sex and you didn't agree with that, or if your parents thought that gay marriage shouldn't be a thing and you thought that it should, and that's where the Democrat Party base came from. That's part of why the Democrat Party is kind of starting to have some issues, because it used to be that the Democrat Party was more about workers and working class people. And then we got this huge influx of upper middle class people coming in, that it came over because they wanted to be part of the progressive culture, and it became more of a culture war. And then what happened was the left won the culture war, at least in the political arena. Then what's the reason to vote for them anymore? And all of these other people realized, well, they're not actually doing anything to help us anymore, so we're not going to vote for them. That's why the Democrat Party has the problem that they have. It's even funnier that Redditors think disconnecting from family members is some sort of a punishment. Yeah, I mean, in that kind of an instance, the family members probably don't want to be around. You know, they probably would be coming out of obligation. But, ugh. So, one of the things was the Handmaiden's Tale has been coming up again. That's another thing, is that this part of the left, their whole thing was the conservatives are trying to control us, yada yada yada, right? That is turned into so basically it's gone from they don't want gay marriage to they're going to oppress and enslave everybody that they don't like. and I really think that one of the key sources of that sentiment is The Handmaid's Tale. So I haven't watched the show, I haven't read that book, but my understanding of the book is that it's basically in some future where women aren't fertile, and so if a woman is fertile, then she basically becomes like a slave of sorts, and that's why they're handmaidens, right? Which the whole premise just sounds absolutely ridiculous to me. Okay, if only 1% of women were fertile, then any fertile woman would be a rich celebrity, right? Everybody would be paying millions of dollars to be the person that had her next child with. And it would be up for the highest bidder. I guarantee you, man. If it was 1 in 100, that means not a lot of men would be able to have kids, and that means that the men with the money would be the ones able to pay for it, right? And the woman would probably be married to one guy, and then allow artificial insemination of other people to sell to make money, right? And she'd probably only marry a guy that was already a millionaire anyways. Would be almost the exact opposite of what The Handmaiden Tales portrays it as. It's absolutely crazy. Sounds stolen from Children of Men. Yeah. That's a good movie, man. I don't know, with that one, that's kind of weird because there is a political overtone to it, you know? But the further along things get, the more realistic that scenario seems. Honestly, in the UK, in the UK and in parts of Europe, I wouldn't surprise me in the least bit to see things go one way or the other. Either trying to deport everybody that's Islamic, or the state basically turning into an Islamic caliphate. Would one way or the other, because it's, if you have enough radicals. I'm not saying that that's like the majority scenario, like that's going to happen, but like if something crazy happens, it's going to be along those lines. I would hope that what most likely happens is that you know, there are moderate Muslims and there are majority of Muslims, and that you get a relatively, I mean, you get a very Islamic friendly state, but kind of like what the UK is right now anyways, right? But we'll see. I wonder, it's been a while since I've seen polls on that. But that doesn't matter. I'm just saying, like, the scenario from Children's of Men is not that far-fetched. And I don't think that they put that one in there as like, we're liberals and this expresses our deepest fears. And I think that a lot of shows are like that. Like, I think funny enough, V for Vendetta, that's what V for Vendetta was, right? So it's portraying the UK being taken over by this ultra conservative, almost fascist state, which just seems so ridiculous to me now. It seems so ridiculous. But that's what it was. They picked what they did because they were liberal, right? And I don't think that was the case with Children of Men. I don't think that Children of Men were necessarily trying to make as much of a political statement as they were about like a humanity, people as a whole statement, you know? But it's funny that V for Vendetta was like that, because like the conservative, the far right are kind of more pro V for Vendetta than the left is now, I would say. Yeah, I didn't get much politics from Children of Men. And that whole scene where it's all like one shot is crazy. So crazy. So it was really interesting that the Treasury... So remember earlier I was saying, well, what if the PMI is good and we get a little bit of a boost up, but then it wouldn't surprise me to see them just start selling it again anyways. But instead what happened was the knee-jerk reaction was to sell, and then the gap filled back up, and it's kind of gotten nowhere since then. So we haven't really gotten much of a hint about what that selling earlier was. Does seem like it was currency driven, but like the currencies was like that trade is done and over with, and the currencies are just kind of doing their thing now. So maybe we don't really have a trade anymore, or maybe we don't really have a good setup anymore, I think. So this is something I don't understand why I see this so much, but And I know I cover this on here all the time, but every time that it's going to come up, I'm going to just point it out because I know that there's going to be at least one person out there that doesn't know this. But in the world of social media, people have so much going on, especially influencers like myself. I don't really consider myself an influencer, but I think based on some people's definition, I'm an influencer. And I do get a lot of messages, and I am in a place where I can spend the time and respond to everything. If I don't respond, I probably forgot, and you need to just message me again, right? But I get a lot of messages, and I'm not always looking at it. So, like, if you go and say, hey, can I ask you a question? And then, you know, I see it like the next day, and then it'll just be like, okay, sure, right? When you could have just asked the question and saved yourself a day, right? So always lead with the question. Lead with the question. Just get to the point. Because I'm not sitting here like, you need to make sure that I'm in a good mood first and ask politely that you can ask a question. And that doesn't work very well. Just lead with the question. So let's see here. What else? Is it time now? Let's take another look here. Let me just wait till the end of this bar. Okay. So does that give us 30 bars? Does. And it's correct. Ta-da! Okay, so we're rolling. So the one thing that it doesn't handle necessarily very correctly is if half of a bar is done with tick replay. Like you reload it, it saved well, actually, we shouldn't even do that. I think you should just lose some. I don't know, but when I refresh it, then there's a situation where it, you know, it'll get messed up. Oh, we should check the cells too. $482. That's correct. So we verified it there, and then if we do this one, like where we were doing tick replay. That's correct. And that's correct. What's that file? It's not with the DOM data. So my indicators. So can I back up? Can I use that opportunity to kind of give you a pitch? So I have an indicator suite for NinjaTrader. You can download it at speculatorseth.com. You get a free 2-week trial, so just download it, install it into NinjaTrader. Indicators will work for 2 weeks. Then after that, you have to have a lifetime license, which is $100 right now. I am going to increase that to $200 next year. The thing that my indicators do, what makes them unique, is that my indicators understand that the key is the data. So most traders are coming in and they're looking at a chart, of like 1 minute chart data. And the problem is that there's just a lot of noise in that. Liquidity providers intentionally inject noise into price. And so there are some edges that you can pull out of the market that don't get taken out. Okay. But they're so small, the noise is larger. So you really need a lot of data to pull it out. And especially on the intraday time period, there's just so much noise that it's pretty much impossible to just pull something on a 1 minute chart and find a real edge in that. So one of the things that we can do is we can look at the orders instead, because the orders, whether the orders are a buy orders or a sell orders, that is basically removing one level of noise. The orders are there's less noise in that than there is the price data, essentially. Okay. So the problem is that these platforms, they're all intended to look at price, and they don't really do anything. They don't really allow you to manage the data. So what my indicators do is they are specialized on the order flow so that you're looking at something with less noise, and it allows you to manage the data. So the information gets exported to files, and then you can reload those files up from the cache. And that's what we do. So this chart that you see right here, level 2 changes, right? That's all based on how many changes there are in level 2. So you can't reconstruct that historically. You can't, the data providers don't provide that. So what we are doing is we're recording that data and saving it to disk. And we're saving it to disk in a format that is easy for you to deal with and manipulate. They're just comma separated values. So you can open up a file that will just show you basically for each bar what was the number of level 2 changes in there. And there's actually multiple data series underneath of this, so the file actually has more than that. Okay, but the file that you were just looking at, this one right here, is actually market order imbalance. So what it's doing is it's saying, here's how many buys there were in that period. Here's how many sells there were during that period. And then the running buys and the running sells is basically those buys summed up over the last 10 periods. And then the imbalance is basically the percentage of buys to sells. Okay. And yes, it's in a CSV file. So what I was doing is I was going down to the bottom, and I was saying, okay, is this running buy actually equal to the last 30 bars summed together? It is. So I'm able to verify it by hand. So that's what we were looking at. Basically it's a measure of whether the orders are mostly buy or mostly sell over the last 30 minutes. Over the last 30 minutes, it's been slightly in favor of buys, but only by about 2%. And yeah, these files are saved to the disk, and so then you can do whatever you want with it. The next step would be like saving the files to a data lake or something like that, which I might do some stuff with later. But the key thing we're doing right now, I made some changes to this indicator just to make it work a little bit better, because when you're dealing with hashed data, and then you can potentially have tick replay data in there. So it actually different. That's what this last column here is it's telling me whether this was calculated live or whether it was calculated from tick replay data, because this one isn't necessarily from a level 2. It just uses the historical best bid best ask. So you can do it from tick replay. And things like that. And there was all these issues about whether it works on each tick or on bar close, and I changed it to work on each tick, and I think that that's better for this indicator. So yeah, that's what it is. So we are getting all of those, you know, all of those changes, and it's actually a lot of the changes are kind of like, but basically what it does is it allows you to then backtest off of it. You can backtest, or you can start sending them into machine learning programs, right? So we're going to get this next release out, and then my focus is going to be on explaining and selling the indicators. So going to make a couple of videos that are like one-offs about what are you actually looking at, explaining how that indicator works and why it's beneficial. But the overarching theme, though, the thing that I want you to understand is that the reason that the indicator package is so valuable is because I understand that the key insight you need to be able to find an edge in today's world is that you have to be able to deal with the data. And current platforms aren't giving you enough control over your data to do this. You're pulling in all of this stuff from depth of market that just disappears. It evaporates. And there are places out there that you could potentially buy data on those subjects, but it's insane amounts of money. So I'm basically creating a tool that allows you to save this information that is literally worth thousands of dollars. Literally worth thousands of dollars. And then maybe if you weren't there a day, you can go and ask somebody else for the file. Because one of the indicators here, the data pipe, it literally saves everything. So these sub-series, these are generated from the market depth data and saved to the file. But I could also take the raw data pipe file and reconstruct these as well. So now that you have complete control over the data, now you can do advanced stuff, things that will actually allow you to find a real edge as a retail trader. And saving a large file for a longer time with all of this and comparing the level 2 changes to the market orders or the delta in the market orders with, yeah. Now, the only problem is that, you know, you have to save the data yourself or get it from somebody else. And so you're only going to have like a year's worth of data so far. But we're building it up. We're building it up, right? So, yeah. My hope is that we can leverage the revenue that we make from selling the indicator suite and use that to eventually build our own platform and things, right? Because you know, it would be super nice if we had our own data platform, for instance. Allow you, you know, most you know, like NinjaTrader or Sierra Charts, they just kind of handle the data for you, and you don't really have a whole lot of choices in like how you manage it. But we can make a platform that, you know, is designed for you to be able to save the data into a data lake and do analytics and stuff on it afterwards and things like that. Built from the ground up for that, and also built from the ground up for some of the other things that we have. And like, for instance, the most common way of doing this kind of like machine learning analysis is through Python, but none of the platforms use Python. So I want to make the platform will be Python native. Things like that. So I don't know. I kind of feel like that the focus of it being on the data is a tough sell, but like that's the key thing that I think you have to understand to be able to find a technical edge in this market is that in order to find the technical edge, you have to understand how to manage the data, and this platform allows you to do that. That's the market for trading platforms. There are very few retail traders that really want to model this type of data instead of looking at charts. It's true. It's an uphill battle. Now, I think that the way that I deal with that is that there are some things that even if you're just a retail trader that just has charts on there, that they will like and appreciate. For like the inventory cost basis indicator in particular is one that it really does provide support and resistance, or rather creates hard bounces very frequently. So it's absolutely something that those chart traders would like to have up there. You just have to understand when those lines aren't going to be very effective. Discretionary thing. Basically, you have to understand when the market maker's in charge of the market versus there's some large meta order being executed. It's really what it's about. And that's what the market order imbalance is for, is to help you identify times when there's a large meta order in the market. When there's a large meta order, you should see a strong imbalance between the amount of market buys and market sells. So I think that, I don't know, like, when I look at it, the other thing is like, with this data, I have some indicators on here that I really feel like everybody with NinjaTrader should be using. The dollar index and the spread in particular is, I'm like, why are people not using these? You really don't understand what's going on if you're not using these. Like, I created the spread for the treasury market with the yield curve and everything. But like, if you're trading oil, for instance, I would put up a crush spread. Because my understanding is that a lot of the activity over there is actually the crush spread. So understanding what the crush spread is doing can help you understand and interpret the things, and in particular the order flow, but even just changes in price that you're seeing in oil. So I feel that for $100 to $200, maybe I won't make it 200, maybe I'll make it more like 150. That's something that everybody that purchases NinjaTrader should buy. I don't know. I was like doing some math and I was like, could I live off of the indicators though? Seems to me like there are people out there selling NinjaTrader indicators and they live off of them. But they're charging a lot more for them. You know, like I would have to sell like 100 of them a month or something like that, which is possible. Like there's enough people in the ecosystem to do that, but I don't know if I would reach that many. Now my own platform, that's a different thing. Because you can build a bigger pie. So then we can do things like, so we get the next release out of the way, and then I'm going to make some videos about it. And then I can focus my efforts more onto the like the momentum and machine learning development. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to think about, like, there's been a lot of over the years, like, oh, you know, I wish I had more time. I could do this, I could do that. But then now I have the time and I've done them, you know? And I don't move the needle as much as I'd hoped. That kind of feels like no, but we're coming along. Video today should out. By the way, that video is already out. We should check and see people are watching it. Well, Amir's already watched it, so we already got 2 comments on it. That's actually more than usual. It's doing pretty good so far, guys. Reach click-through rate is above 10%. This video could move the needle for sure. That's good. I've been watching, you know, because I was looking at this and I was like, well, we'd like to make our own platform. Good old rage bait. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's rage bait, but I think there's valuable information in there too, right? So I was looking like, okay, we want to make our own platform. What do we got to do to make that happen? Like, can we get funding for it? All of that sort of a thing. You know, starting a bit, it's a difficult thing. And I've seen a lot of, well, I've been watching Y Combinator videos and stuff like that now, right? It's really crazy to me, like, the things that people have done, like people that are making millions of dollars off of a Google Chrome extension, for instance. Like, holy crap, what? That's nuts. And you know, like again, there are people that it seems like they make. There's like small little companies making NinjaTrader indicators is definitely out there, although they're charging a lot more. But you know, some of the things about like, okay, so what makes sense for funding? Well, I don't think that it really makes sense at our stage to go and do funding. Of course, you can fund a startup with a product, you know, before you even have a product. That absolutely happens. But we already do have a product. So what would be funding for? To make a new product when we're not really pulling everything out of the current product that we can? That's why it's like, really, to do this the right way, we should get our marketing correct and, you know, be getting the most out of this syndicate, because I think there's some real value. Again, everybody that has NinjaTrader, I think, could benefit from this, and we're not reaching that market at hardly at all, right? So there's a lot of room to grow, and we got to put the effort into growing that. And then when we have like revenue, and then we can go back and I can make the case like, okay, now let's do fundraising for making our own platform, right? But one of the things that I see with fundraising is like, is it 10 times better than what exists out there? Or like, you know, things like that. Like, well, I think that it's 10 times better, but can I convince the world that it's 10 times better? That seems harder. So I kind of look at it and I'm like, okay, well, this is what we got. This is what we know we can do next, or what we need to do next. I guess there's still this fear in my mind that like I'm going to put all of that effort into it and it's still not really going to move the needle.
So I hope I'm not, you know, I just got to push forward and like ignore the little feelings of doubt in the back of my head, because it is something that we want to do no matter what, even if we don't make money from it. Like, I think it's a valuable thing, and that small group of you guys that are already in on it, I think you've shown that you've found a lot of value in it, and we're making it better for you. So, I'm gonna do it anyways, even if it's for the few. Hopefully it's for the more. At the same time, well, I don't have a whole lot of hope about finding a new day job in December, but I'm hoping that once January comes around that we should find a new job pretty quickly too. So fingers crossed, that would make things a lot easier. Yeah, there's some bumps on the way, like giants, and also the desired market, as a lot of people are trading price action right now. Yeah, well, so I guess I do have a strategy on that too, don't I? You know, it's so weird. Like I really think. Well, I kind of take a deep breath there, because I know that I'm going to say something that kind of sounds like egotistical, but it's just. The world has shown me that this seems to be the case. I think that I am in a unique position for some, you know, people that understand all of the things that are necessary to actually do this and are available to retail traders. I'm the only one. And so it really does come down to me. So like with price action, So if I did a startup, I really feel like I'm a founder that has a unique set of skills to be able to understand that market and what it needs. I really do. So with price action, the thing that the price action market, quote unquote, is missing is back testing. They don't know how to back test it. Well, I can back test it because I kind of have some tools, but also just because I understand like the existing tools a little bit better and the ways to set up and do these kinds of tests, right? So what I need to do is I need to make a tool that's more accessible to people, and that's what I want to do is I want to make a zigzag that's more accessible to people so that you can program in when something has made a confirmed higher high or lower low or whatever it is that you're looking for, right? Because from what I've found, price action is largely either Dow theory applied to 1 minute charts or support and resistance, which support and resistance really comes down to like, you know, 1 hour high and low sort of a thing. So that's kind of how you can try and find those ranges. So it can be back tested, right? Now the problem is I'm going to back test it and then I'm going to show them that like price action doesn't really work. And maybe you should look at this order flow stuff and some of the other things that I have and search for an edge there, because you're much more likely to find it there. That kind of is a hard sell, but I feel like I do understand the market. Like, you know, for the people that are actually gonna pay attention, we have the path for you, right? The good stuff, the GUI is ugly for most of them, and making a great GUI plus great functionality and give bit to every type of trader, you can nail it with great marketing. Yeah, well, and maybe the issue is that I'm just not great marketing. See, like to me, like my value proposition here is it's about the data. It's about giving you deeper data, information that goes beyond just the price, and saving it and being able to do like deep analytics on it in tools outside of NinjaTrader, like machine learning and things like that. But that's like a really
if I'm talking to somebody that doesn't know anything about programming, that's not necessarily going to be like a really convincing argument, right? Can you do so? Can I do what so for a consistent profit? On the trading side, I think that we have a pretty good strategy. I think that to really make a ton of money from it, you'd already need a really big wad. And even then, making it your sole source of income is not wise. Oh, can you take that unique position for a consistent profit? Well, I think that what's going to happen is this. Here's kind of like the bigger game, is that there are some inefficiencies in the market that are kind of persistent inefficiencies. And what has essentially happened is the players in the space that have access to the data and have been able to do this kind of analysis for decades have essentially been able to dominate that market. And what we are doing is we're giving retail traders the tools to be competitive in that. So it won't always last forever, but there should be a period of time where this is a new thing and not everybody has it. And, because I would expect other platforms to then try and copy what we're doing and all of that sort of stuff, right? So eventually maybe some of the edge gets taken out of it. But that is actually kind of the point, is that if the edge gets taken out of it, then that's a problem for some of these funds. Like, that's a problem for the momentum strategy funds. That's a problem for the equity indexes. If those edges and the market kind of starts to work against the main pillars of the investing world, essentially, the market shifts back into a situation where we have an even bigger advantage. Because why? Because we're informed. You see what I mean? So that's kind of the answer to that. So it's kind of a yes and it's kind of a no, huh? Because it's yes, like yes, and over the next 10 years, yes. But over the next 30 years, probably not. In the next 30 years, then we shift over to our real edge, which is being informed. But it's kind of a little funny to think about that I can provide more value to the market through my programming than I can through my trading, even if I'm a really, really good trader. And I would always think that would be like a knock on you as a trader, but it's really not. It's just an acknowledgement of what the market is right now. Actually kind of coming back now to the cost basis. So are we going to see a bounce back down, or are they going to continue through is always the question. This the market order imbalance over the past 30 minutes is approaching 60%. It's really been ever since the news, so it's really been for the past hour. So this is a situation where I would be really weary about standing in front of that and looking for it to bounce off that cost basis. I think that it's going to plow right through it. This is going to look like last Monday. How far up can they make it? Can they make it all the way back to 02? 111.02? Oh, that would be a new high of the session. It seems very likely because they were just so close to it. Like you have so much momentum, and why would they just stop there? Well, how big of a change is it? It's a 16K change in cumulative delta so far. And for a meta order being done on a Monday. So I need to come back. Let's just double check a couple of things. So the news ISM manufacturing PMI 48.4 versus an expected 47.5. Still in contraction, but not as bad. US ISM manufacturing prices paid. They expected 55.2 and they got 50.3. And what about employment? Employment 48.1 versus 47. Okay, so there may actually be a case to be made that there is buying coming off of the heels of that ISM number. It wasn't necessarily the knee-jerk reaction, but is coming through. And then you add on top of that like it's the first day of the month and all of that should be a buy. So yeah, in fact, 111 is not obviously we should have, if we really wanted to take a trade, we should have done it at 30.5. I'm a little bit worried about taking it at 111 even now, but I'm kind of looking at it and thinking that 111 even is still feasible though. I don't know, going back to how the big boys seem to make their money, it seems to me that if I really want to go down the route of like, well, I don't know. If I really want to go down the route of like making a startup and really, really making a ton of money from like starting a company, I feel like that futures trading is too small of a market, you know? Like, I think that I think that we could make millions of dollars creating a business in the futures trading business. And I think that it's like you spread out. Like we start with indicators. We can make our own platform. We can have our own data platform. We can have our own news platform. We can have our own funds, right? So I think I could expand it into everything. You know, that would be pretty big. But would it be $1 billion business? Oh, I don't know about that. I think that for it to be $1 billion business, that I would really have to be doing something that is really reaches the wider public, you know? It isn't something so technical. But then maybe I don't have that unique key understanding, right? So maybe that particular maybe there's not an opportunity like that for me. But would I like to do it? Like I am super interested in business idea that would be not trading. Something that I could potentially get like the rest of my family involved in. Because I think kind of part of it, because I don't know, couldn't really get the rest of my family involved in trading. I don't think they go for it. On the other hand, that other business that I would like to have doesn't have to be $1 billion business. It could just be like a freaking snow cone stand. $7K and $10K market orders you're seeing here? I'm not actually, I don't see that actually. Well, I see a 1576 and an 1135 trade at 0.0 half. Come on, I didn't see how much it was. Was it maybe an iceberg that I missed? Well, they crossed the divide. I think that it would be kind of weird for them to come so close to the high and not be able to make it. But it is a 20,000 net market, or sorry, meta order now. So it is totally within the realm of possibilities that the meta order subsides and we rest here at this 111 area. You're looking at a footprint chart? Okay. No, I don't have a footprint chart up. That's what I was saying. It was probably the iceberging and whatnot going in. I thought that you meant like single orders that were that big, and I'm like, no. Some big ones that came through, but not that big. And that, I suppose, would be one thing in favor of it possibly continuing, is that there was not a really big, like, event sort of a thing that would damage the liquidity or kind of signal a pop-off top sort of ending. So the meta order, because for all we know, the meta order is actually 50 or 60K on first day of the month on a Monday and everything. That is absolutely within the realm of possibility. So, and if it is, then they're going to continue much further and probably even get to like overnight highs up in the like, what would that be? What would that put us at? 06 half. Other things I could do is I could just make some games. You know, I saw stuff that like Epic was putting Unreal Tournament stuff into Fortnite. I should check that out. Maybe home is coming back. I feel a little bit traumatized by my digital home, but if it comes back, I'm going. You could make money fishing tuna in Florida. Wait, you really make $60,000 a tuna? No way. No, that can't be true. A whole tuna is worth $60,000? I could see a couple hundred, but not 60K. There's a lot of tuna in this sea. Like, plus or minus. Okay. Tuna profit per fish. Bluefin tuna, considered the most valuable tuna, with prices reaching up to $69,000 per metric ton. Okay, not per tuna, but per metric ton. So that would be like you're catching them in your fishing nets and stuff, right? In 2019, a sushi tycoon paid $3.1 million for a 612-pound tuna. That's a big tuna, man. Holy crap. Setting a world record price, the high price was due in part to the scarcity of large Pacific bluefin tuna, which are listed as endangered. Oh, okay, so I shouldn't actually be fishing for those. How much is a 400-pound bluefin tuna worth? Watch this master chef clean and fillet a huge 400-pound bluefin tuna. They're worth about $50,000. Have you tried bluefin? What? You're quoting the page that it came from, huh? But that would mean that I would have to move to Florida. So here was one of the things was like, okay, so am I basically a ski bum for the month of December? Because like, here's the thing, I spent like $900 or something like that on a season pass. So like, if I only win once, that would be kind of stupid, right? So I need to go probably almost every weekend to really make it worth it. But, you know, my wife is working so much that nobody's here to watch the kids on a Saturday. So I had my parents watch the kids on Saturday. So, like, hey, the way that you know, what I've heard, the way real ski bums do it is they work for the ski resort, right? You just work for the ski resort and yada, 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 right? Well, the problem with that would be that then I would be away from home and wouldn't be here to watch the kids when my wife is working. So, and I don't think that my mom can come and watch them every day. So, like, that's probably not a good option. If it was a job that was not work from home, it would have to be, you know, the full salary so that my wife could go back to basically only working weekends. I don't know. What time is it? Oh, it's 9:05. It's time for me to get going. I was just thinking, you know, my next thing is I got to go and try and find jobs to apply for this week. Maybe there'll be more this morning though. You know, after Thanksgiving and everything, we'll see. And I have 2 in the pipeline, supposedly. So, hopeful. D waves with a fish. Oh man, I don't think that I would be a good fishing. You know, there's this new web game called like that's like about fishing or something, and that everybody's raving about is like if you want a social game that's also kind of like stress-free sort of a thing, to play that. But I'm just kind of like, yeah, but fishing is so boring. You make like a sci-fi version of that game. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good stream. Stay excellent, team.